Perhaps the easier game the Bruins hoped they were going to get the other night against the New Jersey Devils. They had to go through that to get to this one as they took it to the New York Rangers. Pretty darn good. The Rangers coming in after a very emotional night and physically engaging night the night before with the whole Washington Capitol, Tom Wilson, line brawls, Jim Dolan, fire your GM and your president fiasco. So they looked tired. And you know what? The Bruins didn't. As the Bruins win 4-0. Welcome into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. It is the show after the Bruins dominated. I mean, thoroughly dominated a team that didn't have much. And the Bruins made sure, Razor, that they didn't get anything going in this game. There's not a lot to break down. Would you agree in this one? More, I mean, there's talking points, but to really break down, there's not much.
Agree 100%. There's no way to gauge this one. This was just a massive beatdown from front to back. Very, very similar to the Devils game 2 games ago. That
right.
First Devils game, in that it was just a beating from day one. And this one added more because of what the Rangers went through the night before, and their season's done, and that was it. They had nothing in the tank.
Yeah. You know, they got beat on the scoreboard pretty good by the Caps, too. TJ Oshie. What an emotional story that was. He gets the hat trick the night before. But I do give the Rangers some credit for standing up, doing what they had to do, responding the way that they felt they needed to. But you could tell it took an awful lot out of them. You could tell. It did. And they come in, and now, Pavel Buchnevich gets suspended. The irony of that is just amazing, I guess. Deserved it, by the way. He got what he deserved, but It's not to say that Tom Wilson didn't get what he deserves. But the Bruins' top line came out first shift, like, okay, we know we had a little lull against New Jersey. It's not going to happen here. And again, it wasn't even about against New Jersey. It was really about the third period against the Devils more than anything. But the top line made sure, and Brad Marchand in particular, holy smokes, was number 63 scooting early on in this game, setting the tempo.
Yeah, the first 3 shifts were so much fun to watch him buzzing around. They should have had 2 or 3 on the first shift, and then they made it work on the next shift. But they were. Listen, those guys smell blood in the water in this game. They knew all they had to do was play a good first period, and it was over right away. And then they get to cruise. They get to have fun. And we talked about the top line leading the way this week against the Devils, and they did it again tonight. They just lead by example. Listen, we're not taking this night off. We know we can have an easy one, but we're going to go out there and make it happen right away. And that's what they did again. They were good. They were really good.
Yeah. And I'm going to forget somebody. So I'm sure people will say to me, hey, this guy and this guy and this guy. So I apologize in advance. I just thought about this too, because I wanted to talk right away about the second line, the Krejci line. Have we seen as powerful a straight line skater in Taylor Hall in a Bruin uniform in a while? I mean, who else comes to mind? I mean, the powerful, long, almost perfect stride that he shows. Charlie Coyle's got a real powerful stride and a beautiful form, but he's not as fast as Taylor Hall.
No.
Can you think of anybody? I mean, I just watched him. We just watched him tonight. I know that you were at the game and enjoying it with the kids and everything, but I mean, when you watch him skate, it's mesmerizing. He is really, flat out. It's a mixture of power meets speed and some pretty darn good edge work too.
Yeah, the edge work is a big one too. And no, I guess you go back to Sagan, Kessel, one of those guys. I think of Sagan just because the draft class and where those guys were drafted, because skaters like that get drafted first, second, third overall. I mean, there's only a few of them, and and you don't learn that once you get to the NHL. You've learned that when you were 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and learn is probably a stretch too. You're just born with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you grow with it. But that the stride, Taylor was the first overall pick and it was always because of that skill and that skating wise, and you see it more right now, and the excitement and his smile and his happiness and the way he's playing. He has a step like he did when he was 18, 19, 20 years old, which is a positive for all Bruins fans, no question.
I mean, it just, like, one of my favorite moments in the game was when Craig Smith made that beautiful play from behind the goal and a backhand pass, and it hit Taylor Hall on the right side of the goaltender, Shesterkin. He was out about, I'm going to say, 8 to 10 feet. But because he was a lefty, he kind of got the puck inside, and then he tried to snap it quickly. And Shesterkin made a nice save, but more of a positional save, hit him. And you could see as the whistle blew, he kind of raised his hand over to Smith as if to say, "I'm so," like he was almost like he's apologizing almost for not scoring.
Apologetic.
Like, such a great pass. I'm sorry, man. I screwed up. Like it should have. Like, oh shit, I haven't gotten a pass like that regularly. I'm sorry. But he is, man, oh man, he is enjoying it. And I know that we touched on him not having to be the man, which has been a huge factor, I think. But just the fact how much fun he's having. I think a lot of times we forget, we as the general public, I'm not saying you and me, whatever, that these guys, this is a unique business. It's like any other work you're going to. You can go in and be good at it. But if you're not having fun at it, you probably don't reach that extra high level. You might like what you're selling, or you might be like being a salesman. But if you don't really believe in your product, it's just not as much fun, and you probably don't do as well. You might do well, but Taylor Hall is a salesman now. But he's selling a beautiful product that people are buying, and he loves selling it right now. He is having a great time.
1,000%. You can't understate it. It's I can't put into words what an NHL season is like when you're losing, and how long it feels like. What it's like to be on the New York Rangers tonight in the second period. What that felt like 5 games for them, and you can talk about the compressed schedule and how hard it is, but if you're winning, if you're in the playoffs, it's fun. It is. It can be tiring, but it's fun. The issue is, and what we're seeing it right now across the league, and especially in this division, the teams out of the playoffs have been getting the brakes beat off of them for a week and a half. Other than the Buffalo Sabres pulling one out every once in a while, but they're getting crushed right now because it has been such a long season for them, losing 3 games a week. But if you're winning 3 games a week, it becomes, you don't have to practice. You're cruising through it a little bit. You get to, and you still get away with the bad game or the bad period the Bruins had against the New Jersey Devils. It is an absolute beating being on an NHL team losing, and the opposite, obviously, for a Taylor Hall at this point. The fun he's having winning every night. He's won more games in the past since the trade deadline than he had the rest of the season in Buffalo. That's fun. When you go in the room and you have music playing after every game, compared to going into your room and just taking your equipment off and having a shower, it's night and day. It really is.
Yeah. What are the Bruins out 11-2-1 since the deadline?
Yeah.
11-2-1.
That's good.
So it's amazing. And they've got the Rangers again on Saturday. Finish your business right there. Give yourselves a legit chance to finish in second. That's what you need, Bud. Yeah, right? Bud, that's what they need. So take care of business Saturday afternoon. It looks like Tuukka's supposed to get the start there. Swayman, I'm not going to disrespect an NHL goalie, because I wouldn't. I'm being serious here, Razor. That had to have been one of the easiest shutouts he's ever gotten in his entire career, from peewees through midgets to juniors to college. He had 7 shots on goal through 2 periods.
Yeah.
And, and he saw everything.
You know me, I'm not going to ever disrespect, like, the NHL is the NHL and the goalie in the NHL, but that was legitimately the easiest game I've ever seen a goalie have to play in the NHL. And I was, like you said, I was in the building hanging out with the kids, the alumni suite. It's not the same. It's not as much fun up there. Chief was still there, so it was good to see him. But it was, my kids were mad. There was no hot dogs or
Just gonna say,
chicken
you had a
fingers.
harder time finding food than Jeremy Swayman did finding pucks tonight.
Legitimately, I had a harder night with my kids in the building than Jeremy's. I wished I was Jeremy Swayman down there because them yelling at me that they couldn't find ice cream was so much harder than what he had to do. And it really was the easiest shutout I've ever seen. It was that was child's play out there.
Just, I mean,
My kids were so mad. No, so mad they couldn't find ice cream. So spoiled.
Well, I get that. I get that. Was Aaron with you, or was it just you?
No, it was me and only me.
Oh, really? Because if Aaron was there, you could have passed him off. You'd be like, hey,
100%. I gotta go see the guys down in the studio. That's why I wasn't around. Like, I was just me. It was only me, so I couldn't let them run rancid down there. So you were clutching and grabbing. You were absolutely. You were doing everything you could up there. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I needed more
Fazenda
coffee. That's for sure. In the middle of that.
Well, that would, yes, you get that snap chilled one. That would have given you a little bit of a jolt. We're getting to that in just a moment or so. All right, so Swayman gets the shutout. He faces a total of 15 shots in the game. I cannot remember legitimately one high danger chance. I'm not saying there weren't a couple of chances, but I'll call them high danger. If there were,
no, there wasn't. There wasn't a high danger, and there might not have been a medium. Yeah. There was only long and. It's so just quickly, really quick, because we don't have to spend time on this, but Yaro Halak is an older, like sitting on the bench watching that. That's what he needed 2 nights ago. He needed one of those ones. Yeah. He needed and that it's also interesting that he got the game back to back, and then Swayman ends up getting this one. This is an easy game as a goaltender. You know, the Rangers are coming off this. You get a day off compared to what he had to deal with. So that's an also interesting tell on where they're at with the goaltenders.
Well, so all we know about the goalies is that Saturday again, Tuukka Rask is scheduled to start. After that, Butch and his staff haven't decided. They've probably given up, they've talked about options. I think it's just going to depend how much the games mean. Is there one game that means more than the other? Who knows? It wouldn't shock me if they, they're going to have a day off Sunday in between, so Tuukka could come back on Monday if need be. Or on the other hand, you come back with Swayman, and then if you need Tuukka and you're number one on Tuesday, you come back with him against the Caps. Yeah, then again, if they don't mean much, you put Yaro in there as well. So anyways, they have options. What I want to get more to, though, is how we saw the 6th defenseman Razor that we think will start the season. As a unit. The question is how do they get paired up? Well, we saw early on, he went away from McAvoy and Lausanne and pretty quickly put, McAvoy and Grzelcyk back together.
Do you think
that's the Carlo and Riley? Yeah.
Do you think that's what they're going to do? Game 1?
Well, we keep saying it depends who they play against. I don't know. I think it will be more. No, I think Carlo and Riley seems to make sense. And boy, did Carlo play well. Carlo, I'm going to tell you right now, he's getting our fresh cup. He's getting, because he was one big fresh. He was like 16 ouncer, maybe even 20 ounces of fresh. We'll give Fazenda in a moment, and we'll spark it up too in a moment as well. We'll do them both together, but I think Carlo and Riley on paper and obviously on ice, it makes sense early on. McAvoy and Grzelcyk have a lot of benefit to them. We know how well they maneuver, how well they take ice, move ice. But I am curious if that's going to be the pair if they play a heavy team like Washington right away. I'm not sure. I think Bruce will maybe try that, but wouldn't be hesitant to move away from that quickly either.
You might need to, if you're playing wash, you might need to move some of that meat around on the third pairing that we saw tonight, Lozon and Miller, and mix those in, got a little bit more and a little bit differently. I love Grzelcyk and McAvoy with that top line, and their ability to never play defense, and if they have to, then Patrice is there to be that extra valve.
Yep.
To see those five guys, and McAvoy and Grzelcyk were a big part of the start for that top line that we already talked about.
Yep.
Those as a 5-man unit are as good as anyone's going to face. But over a 7-game series, you start looking. You play the longer game a little bit more than shift to shift, and that's where that might be an issue, having those two guys together. But that's a thing of beauty, those five together.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree, and I like. I don't know, the eye test. I like Riley and Carlo. I think the question about Miller and Lozon will be mobility. We know physically they'll be fine. Kevin Miller's always shown some pretty good jump here and there, but can that be an effective pair come playoffs? I don't have the analytics in front of me from this game, and they don't really matter because they so freaking dominated. This is not, as you said much earlier when we began. This doesn't really. What do you pick up from this game?
And the other thing to picking up on, just quickly to interrupt, is I was sitting there watching tonight and thinking about it. Washington's playing a team out of the playoffs, Pittsburgh's playing a team out of the playoffs, and the Bruins are playing a team out of the playoffs. I don't think we're going to get a lot and get a good read on these teams and how they're coming into the playoffs over the last 10 days because they haven't played a playoff team. They've been playing the bottom teams, and even at the end, it seems like this game against Washington's not going to matter if they take care of business. So it's hard to really decide what these teams are over this short last 7 days.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's play the right way time. Cliche 101.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
play the right way, do the right things. If one of the two games, Monday and Tuesday, means something, maybe that benefits both teams, meaning it helps get them reset, refocused, playoff antennas up, and maybe we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I don't want the Bruins to look past Saturday. I don't think they'll look past Saturday. Let's hope that they're right, okay? Let's just hope that they're right and they take care of business. Speaking of taking care of business, let's quickly take care of business of two partners that have come through for us big time. I'm going to give the spark of the game. Are you good with Brad Marchand getting it? I mean, boy, oh boy, was he dominant early on. He was just beautiful. And the spark of the game brought to you by our friends over at Sparks. The Spark Sharpener is one of the best products out there you will find. If you, your family, whomever it is, whether it's one of you or 5 of you, are getting on the ice regularly, get a Sparks Sharpener. The machines are phenomenal. They're $699, but I'm telling you, this razor. You got yourself one as well, just like I got myself one a couple of years ago. It's worth its weight in gold. You will make your money back in a couple of, not like a year and a half.
One season. Mine paid for itself one season.
It's just so amazing, and it's so easy. I'm teaching Jake. He's a little younger than Mace, but Jake is going to get it. He's going to get it done. There was remember the old Ron Popeil? You used to see those infomercials. You set it and forget it. I'm telling you, and then the rotisserie chicken came out, and that's it. It's the same thing with your skates. You put it in there.
Set it and forget it.
Yep, and it's just phenomenal. And here's something, Razor, that people should know. So Sparks does not offer discounts right now because they brought down the price of their new machines, which are gorgeous. But what they are willing to do for Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor listeners, this just came through from our buddy Steve. They're going to offer free shipping now. So anybody who uses the code Morning Brew, MORNING, you know that part, BRU, Morning Brew. So only Morning Brew listeners are going to get offered free shipping on their Sparks machines for a limited time. So make sure if you're interested, go to sparkshockey.com and check it out. And again, use the code Morning Brew for free shipping. So we appreciate them bringing that. Let's also do our Fresh Cup because we've got another great sponsor. But the Fresh Cup, Brandon Carlo. How fresh was he, man? I mean, he's been fresh because he hasn't played a lot. Unfortunately, he's been injured. But holy smoke, what did he end up with? 10? I think it was 10 shot attempts in this game. 5 on net, 4 that missed the net, and 1 that had blocked. I mean, buddy.
It's all that skills work. I mean, he's been doing skills work for 3 weeks, and he wants to use it out there.
Yeah.
Finally
does he
gets
get credit
to work.
Does he get credit for a shot on goal for that goal that he scored? Because it wasn't a shot; it was a pass attempt over to Craig Smith, and he darted off the face-off play down the right wing wall, and he's looking to hit Smitty, who had gotten himself to that far post. And I don't know how Shesterkin got it off the inside of his right pad. He must have turned his body just enough to have it go off his pad and then through the 5-hole.
Yeah, he wasn't flat enough, and Tuukka is the king of flat when it comes around. That's why he never gives those plays up. He never gives that angle up. But if you get a little bit too square, you open up that play, and it's a 1 in 100 on Shesterkin, and I'm sure he was just as sleepy, just as unfocused at that point in the game where you just miss a detail. All the goalies only have to miss a little detail and it ends up in the back of the net. And good for Carlo. That feels good. A nice defense. Again, a face-off play where he's going deep to the net. He gets to get on his horse a little bit, get aggressive, and use those skills that he's been working on over at Warrior with Kimmy.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that he's been so involved. And I do love the fact, too, in the 2 games that he's played, Razor, that he's been challenged, but this is a real nice way to come back in the lineup. Playing 21 minutes. There's NHL contact, but it's not brutal. He has time to recover.
It's not game 2 against Washington Capitals, right?
Exactly. So he's able to rev up. And because of that, he looks fresh. So he gets our Fresh Cup of the game, Brandon Carlo, with an excellent effort. That's brought to you by Fazenda. Make sure to visit them at fazendacoffee.com. It's spelled Fazenda. The Fazenda Coffee Roasters have been tremendous to all of our listeners, and they're just good people. They have free fast shipping. If you have 3 bags or more, so it's 35 and up, you get free fast shipping. And they are dedicated to roasting the perfect cup of coffee. They've also got those wonderful snap chilled cold cans for you that Razor, you are loving. And I know some of our fans are loving as well. And by the way, if you end up getting a favorite coffee, they told me about this earlier today. If you get a favorite coffee, you subscribe to their program, Razor, and you'll save 15%, and there is no long-term commitment. So go check out fazendacoffee.com. And thank you again to Sparks and Fazenda for being part of our show. So here are some notes that I had from the game. We'll run through them real quick because one of them I think is important to talk about as we get close to wrapping things up here. Top line, Goen had that early on. Brad Marchand shot very early on the power play, and he shot often on the power play. I loved that. We talked about that during the show. As great as he has been and as many goals as he's scoring, I don't think he's been shooting enough, especially on the power play. This opens up different options for him and for his teammates if he's shooting more. And I thought his shoot-first mentality was outstanding in this game. The other thing that I had written down here, Jake DeBrusk. Let's talk about Jake DeBrusk before we wrap things up here. It was very eye-opening and ear-opening, I guess, to listen to him talk earlier today in the Bruins media session. And he had done this earlier in the season too, but this was maybe even more poignant, partner, about how he's struggling and how hard it's been. I mean, he was basically, I felt, apologizing to people, knowing how tough of a season he has had and how he's admitting it's not fun. You do not hear pro athletes talk like this that much. Hey, we heard Taylor Hall talk about that, was it 3 weeks ago now, trade deadline, how he admitted he didn't have confidence. Now, maybe this is a new age young person, right? Share your feelings more type of thing. On the other hand, maybe these guys are struggling more with this COVID thing and the separation, the isolation, everything, and it's just coming out, and they're admitting it. But Jake DeBrusk, I thought, forget the goal. The goal was great. I'm thrilled for him. He busted his ass in certain other places too, Razor, bumping up to the third line. And I'm really hopeful that this will, propel him to better things. I can't guarantee it, but let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope. And I mean, listen, every guy in the yes, and when guys aren't playing well, there's other stuff going on. Everybody in the NHL are all skilled enough. If they've done it before, even more so. Listen, I did it. I struggled after I did it, and I had lots of stuff going on in my life. I had lots of stuff eating at me, and unfortunately, the one part of the NHL is it doesn't matter, and you have to perform, and that's what it comes down to. And if Jake can turn it around, that'll be impressive, and hopefully this goal tonight starts it. You need a spark at some point. Maybe he had a spark this afternoon. Maybe he had a spark this morning talking about his feelings and getting it out and letting loose, and maybe it makes him feel better. And you talked about Taylor Hall, same thing, not having confidence. But now that he's
he got it back quickly. He got it back.
That's right. Now that he's scored, and life's good again. And if you do that, then life's good. If you don't, it doesn't go away. Because Jake, like you said, had already talked about how he was struggling. It doesn't go away unless you perform in the NHL. And
you're right. It was actually Wagner that talked about it even more. Remember, he brought it out even more. Jake did talk about it a little bit too, but Wagner really talked about it.
Yeah, and I'm not this year is even harder for these guys. It really is. If you're struggling this year, it is 1,000 times worse because you have no outlets, you have no way to release or not think about it. You're really digging in and you're at home. But again, the only way it goes away in the NHL is if you step up and perform and your team wins. And that's the beauty of DeBrusk, and is he has an opportunity because his team's won. His team's getting him into the playoffs. He has an opportunity to go in and score. And if he was on the New York Rangers, his season would be over in 2 days. And then you're staring at an ugly season like some of the. But he has an opportunity to continue that and maybe make a difference. So this goal tonight it could be a big deal. It really could, because I think if he hits lightning in a bottle, it makes a big difference for this team.
Well, sure, it does, because he then at least is an option to go back up and play with Charlie Coyle. And Charlie will be okay. I'd be surprised if he plays Saturday, by the way, but we'll see. But I'm told Monday would be good. Monday, Tuesday be good to get a game or two before playoffs. But we've talked about wanting Charlie at center when it's all said and done. It's hard to ignore what Corrali has done with him at center and Richie on the left. But if Jake is going and the fourth line gets identity, I had another note on there too. I really thought Lazar had a nice game on Thursday.
He did.
I thought he did. Real good game. But then I love the options. I do. This is what I hope. I hope there's some way that after the game, tonight, Thursday night, that Jake can find a way to go have a beer with somebody safely, or a post-game meal with somebody, and he's able to, feel that camaraderie. I don't think he feels close to the team. And because what I'm saying is he goes home, and when you're not playing well, you can pull yourself to a place that, you're literally alone, but also you're mentally, emotionally alone. And you go into the rink and everybody's still your best buddy, right? Hey, buddy, how you doing? How's it going? But if you don't feel good about yourself, it sucks. It translates to everything else in life. People understand that, right? But maybe he can feel like he's connecting with the team more now because I think if he's had a few good games, he earned it, I thought, tonight. I did. I thought he earned it with his play. So I'm hoping there's a way that they can do something.
It's about allowing yourself to earn it, right? Or allowing yourself to enjoy it.
Enjoy it, right.
And whatever that is. And that's where those expectations and contracts and all those things pop into dressing rooms, because you need to allow yourself to feel a part of the team.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe a goal does it, right? Maybe a goal right now does it.
I think a few beers does it. And I do.
Beer
wine is always nice. A good steak. I am so desperate for a steakhouse dinner. I don't know why. I am. I can't wait. A few weeks. Second vax Saturday morning.
Oh,
So
you can taste it. It's close.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, buddy. Anything else? Anything that you saw that you wanted to touch on from the game? Nothing?
No, my big thing is it's just the teams that are out are out now.
Oh, yeah.
They are out. Let's get to whenever these playoffs start and really see what we got. But this team's up in the alumni. Everyone's pretty happy with where they're at and what this group has. So let's go.
All right. Well, I'm happy to report for you at least you didn't miss much of a meal at TD Garden. Even though you couldn't get food, we had.
I'm happy to hear that because I had nothing.
Fish stick taco and what the other thing they called it a brisket sandwich, which remarkably looked like corned beef, which wasn't bad. And I devoured a couple of chicken wings. And what else did I have? They actually brought a cookie for us too. Imagine that. But,
of course, yeah.
Anyways, all right. That's going to wrap things up as the Boston Bruins skate to a 4-0 victory over the New York Rangers. The Bruins face these same Rangers on Saturday. Curious to see if the Rangers do anything else between now and then. I don't really want to get into it, but maybe another time we'll talk the whole J.D. Gordon thing and everything. Just craziness galore. And, all right, we will, Razor and I will talk to you after Saturday's game. So enjoy your Friday. Everybody be safe. Continue to stay healthy. And please make sure to really, really enjoy that coffee of yours.